Welcome to Bear Down Ballers. I'm your host, AJ Bramlett, and that's my super producer, Ryan Wall. Man, what a ride it was, my man. What are your thoughts right now this week?
Yeah, it was a few days removed now from the game. They lost 72-60 to Houston, fell in the Sweet 16. But overall, I mean, I think it's a very successful season. Making a Sweet 16, which they weren't in 4 years, in the first season of, this new Tommy Lloyd era. I think the program made a step forward this year. What do you think about it? What do you think this year did for the future?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, we couldn't ask for anything more from this group. We started off the season, like we've mentioned many times, unranked, picked fourth or fifth in the Pac-12 to finish. And, for the season that these guys had, the amount of growth that they had, the foundation that Tommy Lloyd was able to establish on what Arizona basketball is going to be, what the future is going to be like, how we're going to play, the style of play, all of those things, happened so quickly this year. And I think, a lot of people, I saw some people that were disappointed, in the loss. And of course, I thought we could have played better. I don't think we played our best in that game. But overall, where the program stands and how much the players improved and just where Arizona basketball is as a whole, I mean, we couldn't ask for anything more from Coach Lloyd and for these guys for this year.
Yeah, and that disappointment from people comes from just like where they were. And we even talked about it all season, adjusting expectations from, from the start of the season to where we think they could have gone. And then, being a number one seed, it's like the expectations for a number one seed should be higher than the Sweet 16. I think you could agree on that. But what were your thoughts on, this game as a whole? I mean, not a lot went well for
No.
Arizona. They shot the ball under 34% from the field and three, and just couldn't get anything to fall. And Houston was just making every three. It seemed like.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, it was just a bad game, and you have to give a lot of credit to Houston. They took us out of everything that we wanted to run. We couldn't get a back cut. The entire we've scored so many times on back cuts this year. We couldn't get one of those through. During that whole game, I thought they just, they were an experienced team, a lot more experienced than we were, and that showed a lot in that game because they knew what they needed to do to win, to beat us, and we weren't able to bounce back. We still hung in the game. You know what I mean? It could have been a lot worse, in my opinion, because we didn't play well at all. But we still made, a couple of our little runs, that we've done throughout the year. We had an opportunity to get back in it and put some real pressure on them with, 2.5 minutes left. And, Ben turned it over on that one. And I thought that was kind of the end of it right there. But, I thought DT played exceptional. I thought that he was really a bright spot, shined against that competition and that physicality. I thought he did really well. And I was happy to see that. And the rest of the guys did their best. I thought Ben, even though he missed a lot of shots, I thought he played well. They were sending two and three guys at him, the entire game. He still stayed aggressive. He had some great finishes in the lane, but fell asleep on defense a little bit, at the end of the game, and left Kyler Murray open for that three. But it was just a night where, and this, like, you're going to run into those nights in the tournament. If you're able to overcome them, like we did against TCU and win, that's great. But it's hard to win the tournament. So you're going to run into those games and teams like Houston, on your way. And, I thought we just didn't have enough that night. It just wasn't our night.
Yeah, I mean, simply put, you put it well there. But another point is it's going to be hard to win if two of your five starters are 2 for 15
Yeah.
from the field. I mean, that makes it very difficult to win no matter what the other guys do. I mean, Tabellus really, I mean, because Tabellus is another guy. If you look at the overall season, Tabellus had a very good season. He was second in the team in scoring for a team that accomplished all that they did. But really down the stretch in these last few weeks, he just couldn't get it going for some reason. He just looked off, and it's a shame because he was such a valuable piece to this team. What did you think about him? Not only this game, but just throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that, we've talked about this all season long. Like, he was the most consistent player all the way up until he got injured, man. And we don't know the real extent of that injury. Ever since he came back from that, he had never been the same. And so, I think it had a lot to do with his quickness, his explosion, his movement. was affected, and that's what I really think. When I look back, like he was playing great, and then ever since that injury, like he never got back to that level at all during the season and struggled. And it's against a team like Houston that's extremely quick, athletic, strong, fast. It really exposed, his troubles during that game. And so and he just didn't look confident, in that game. And it happens. It happens to players. It's going to give him a lot of motivation, I'm sure, over the summertime, to work on his game and get back and add things to his game. So I think in the overall scheme of things, is going to be positive for next year. But I felt for him because you could just tell that he wasn't 100%, and he was trying, but he just couldn't get it done in that game.
Similarly to, Kerr. Kerr tried those last two games, played about 20 minutes or so each game in against TCU and then against Houston, but he really didn't look like himself at all. He didn't really provide any sort of like legit value, to winning in this tournament. And but I mean, on Tommy's defense, the bench was very thin. We saw in the tournament, in the Pac-12 tournament, when Kerr wasn't playing, her guys are playing 40 plus minutes, and it's like how many games can your guys do that? But two guys that probably played their last game as a Wildcat, Benedict Mathurin and Christian Coloco. Mathurin 100%. Coloco, I would say he has the best chance to go pro next to Mathurin, but Terry, as ESPN's latest mock draft, Terry and Coloco both ranked in the 40s. So you never know. All three of them could go, but how big of a part do you think all three of them have played, to this program over the last 2 years? Coloco 3 years, and how big of a loss do you think it will be, each one or all of them as a whole?
It's huge, and I think that you have to give these guys credit. Like they worked their butts off, the last 2 years to get Arizona basketball back in the position that it's in right now. And without those guys having the development and the growth in their games from last year to this year, this season would have been impossible. They all took, exponential jumps in their overall game, and played at an extremely high level all season long. And so, DT's kind of started off a little slowly from the offensive end, but really by the end of the season, I mean, we're starting to see what the best version of him can look like, and it's scary. And I expect, he can make a decision, whatever, same as Coloco. I expect, I would think they should come back. Those two, I think they would benefit from another year, of just getting stronger and being able to. They'll be their team next year. You know what I mean? And so I think that would benefit them. Now Ben's a lottery pick. He submitted that, over the past, all season long, really, but really in the tournament and in the Pac-12 tournament. I mean, that guy is going to be a star, and he has all the tools needed, to be a success in the NBA. He's got the work ethic, strength, athleticism. His jump shot is pure. He's a prototypical guard in the NBA right now. And so Ben, probably that's like you said, 100%. There's no, there's probably no way that he's going to come back, and I totally expect that. But for the other two, I think they can benefit from another year. But if they decide to go, I mean, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be successful as well. So it's really just a personal decision for them. But if we lose all three of those guys, I mean, that's a big blow. But if Ben, I would expect Ben to go. We got KJ Lewis coming in next year. He's going to be a really good player. Other guys are going to be a year older, so I think we'll be in a good position if CeeLo and DT stick around.
Yeah, I for some reason I think that Coloco just I think he just seems more NBA ready, like flat out, than
Yeah,
Terry. Don't get me wrong, if Coloco came back, I mean, he would be one of the best players probably in college basketball, probably the best defender in college basketball. And if they brought him back and Terry, and Terry still has another jump to make, probably, they could still compete for a Pac-12 championship. But yeah, what else do you expect to see for some of these guys next year? Guys like Umar Ballo, guys like Pella Larson, or not Justin Kier. Justin
yeah,
Kier is actually gone. I wish he would be back.
me
But
too. Me too, man.
what do you think about those two guys and Kerr? Like, what kind of jump do you think they can make next year?
I think those guys, have the opportunity to make the jump that, DT and Coloco and Ben made this year. They're more comfortable. They have a full year under, in the program, expectations of what Coach Lloyd wants from them, where they can see themselves expanding their game. And, I think there's going to be a big summer. I mean, guys are going to be, working on their game all summer long, adding tools, adding different things that they're going to need, to be the best they can be at next year's team. Also, Adama Ball. I mean, I think he's going to be a huge component to next year. We saw him in flashes this year, played really well in some pressure situations for not playing very, very often. And so I think he's got a huge future ahead of him. Is going to be a huge piece for us next year. And then Umar will just continue to develop. He did great this year. I mean, nobody expected him to play the way that he played and at that high level, for the whole season. So he'll continue to develop his offensive game, and he's a great defender as well. Pella, I thought, was playing really good basketball, at the end of the season. So I think he's got a good path into next year and just coming in with confidence that his role will grow. And I think he'll be ready for that.
Yeah, and Umar, this was really Umar's first year of like actually playing like a role, a real legit role like that on a team where he gets on a lot of minutes each night. Because his previous 2 years at Gonzaga, he wasn't really in a great role there. But yeah, both of those guys still have. I think they both still have 3 years of eligibility left. If they choose to use them. So yeah, the team looks to be in good hands. They also have a 5-star prospect, Kylan Boswell, who's
Yep.
20 in the 2023 class, but he said he might reclassify to next season, 2022, which would be a huge help. But yeah, I think to look back on this season overall, what's your overall just like feeling of this team? Because this team and the program has gone through a lot. Over the last 4 to 5 years. Sean Miller gets fired last year. Nobody knows who they're going to hire. They wanted to get the top college assistant coach in the country in Tommy Lloyd, and it seems like things just turned around like that. What do you make of this?
I think the one word that I could say is pride. Like it restored the the good feeling in the Arizona basketball program. It established us as a nationwide power, top five. Again, and just the way that Tommy Lloyd coaches, the family atmosphere that he was able to establish this year, and not just with the team, but with the fans, with the community, with recruits, with everyone. I think it was just we should be very, proud of what this team did this year because it was pretty incredible season, man. And like I think, like you mentioned it earlier, people's expectations kind of changed, as the season went along. And I still thought we had, a good enough team and enough talent to make a run at the whole thing, and weren't able to get it done. But just the amount of success, both personally and on the court and everything that the program was able to establish this year was something really special. And it was just a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun to be a fan of Arizona basketball this year.
Yeah, and you talked about that. I think you or one of another former player that was on the pod talked about how the team that won the most wasn't even the best team that they were a part of. So, that's not always
Yeah,
the case. It's called March Madness for a reason. There's Cinderellas that get through. There's worse seats that escape, and that's what we saw throughout the whole tournament. And Houston was the better team that night in the Sweet 16, but I still stand by. I don't think they were the better overall team.
yeah.
I think they caught Arizona on an off night, but I mean, this Arizona team was just very special to watch. I thought this group was just different than past ones, and I thought they could have gone farther, but a Sweet 16 is nothing to forget. It's something to cheer and be proud of them. It's still a big
Right.
accomplishment.
Absolutely. I mean, I thought we could have had a shot at the Final Four, which I totally thought, but they exceeded all expectations for this entire year. So, I think in everybody around the program and the fans and the city of Tucson just has a clear picture and direction of what Arizona basketball is going to look like for the next 10 years or so. And that's a really great thing to see.
Yeah, and so Adrian, the real question is how many years do you think it'll take to get to the first Final Four in 21 years for the Wildcats? Do you think it could be in the next 3 years, 5 years? I mean,
I don't.
I personally would say I think 5 years. I mean, just like the way, going to a Sweet 16 year one, and then, these aren't even Tommy Lloyd's recruits. Imagine when he gets his players in here. I mean, well, I think within 5 years, I think they'll get to a Final Four. What do you think?
I think that's a fair timeline. And like we said, it's hard to win, man. But I think the core of what the program is based upon, the type of style that we want to play, the players that we're going to be able to recruit and get into the program because of the success of this year. I absolutely believe that we have an opportunity, and we'll be knocking on the door every single year. I think moving forward, which is where we want our program to be, which is where it's historically been in the past, and now we're back to that point.
Yeah, well, do you have any final thoughts on a wrap up for this, great season it was and the first season of Bear Down Ballers?
Man, this has just been extremely fun, man. It's been a great ride. Who would have thought when we started, the first pod back in November that this is where the season would have concluded. And we were two of the most positive guys, I think, about the opportunity for the team. But I think they exceeded, what we thought even more. You know what I mean? And so it's just been fun to be a part of the Arizona basketball family, interviewing all the guys that we had on this year, the current guys, and then get an opportunity to go back into the past and relive some of those glory moments. And, we added a lot of new moments, historical moments this year. And so Arizona basketball is back on top, and that's what I wanted to see. And it happened this year. And it's just been great to be a part of it, be able to, connect with the guys. And I'm looking forward to next year and seeing what that brings as well.
Yeah, it was a great year. I think from where they've came to the final result, I think was a massive success. This show was great to do with you, AJ. And yeah, we still have one more, great former Wildcat on the show. Who is it? Who we
Yes,
got
sir.
next?
Yeah, Big Dub, one of my favorite guys of all time, man, and a guy that I wish I would have got to play with actually on an Arizona team, but he came in and did some legendary things in his years at Arizona. Mr. Loren Woods would be our final guest on Bear Down Ballers. Move on to the next topic. Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with BetRivers yet, now's the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Play instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, welcome to Bear Down Ballers. Man, this is a special one for me. I'd just like to welcome in my guy, my brother, the man who once had 14 blocks in a game at the University of Arizona and blocked a lot of my shots in practice, Mr. Loren Woods. What's happening, bro?
Man, what's up, my guy? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing real good. It's a pleasure to see you, man. You're looking great.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. I've been wanting to get you on for a while, and I just want to hop in, kind of, your history with basketball, how you came up, get a little bit of your background and your information from where you grew up in St. Louis, and you started off at Cardinal Ritter Prep. Talk to me about what that was like growing up in St. Louis. I got family in the Lou too, so I spent a lot of time there growing up. Like, what was that like for you, like molding your game and growing up in St. Louis area? And talk to me a little bit about that, my man.
Yeah, I mean, I was very blessed from a young age to be surrounded by a lot of good talent. Let's put it like that. Some people don't have that luxury. I was fortunate enough to play with Chris Carrawell, who's the assistant coach for Duke now. He's ACC Player of the Year back in 2000. He and I grew up together, so we played against each other or with each other since we were 10.
Yeah.
So I had that right there, and then also played on my high school team with Jahidi White, who played. He was in the NBA for a few years. Good NBA career. Played overseas for a few years. So I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by players like that since I was 13.
Yeah.
And our high school was, our high school coach was very, very tough. He was, he was one of those guys that, and he didn't even play basketball. He was just a great mentor, great father figure, and just pushed us in the right direction. And it was everything that he learned, he gave to us, So he would go to the basketball camps in the summer. I mean, you remember all the summer camps, 5-star camp, Nike camp, Adidas camp, and I went to all of those. And like we just took everything that we had from all of those experiences and got a chance to play against All-Americans and top tier talent all over the country since we were 15.
Yeah.
It was when I first went to Nike camp. I was 15. So, we're playing against guys who, Kevin Garnett, Vince Carter, Ron Mercer. I'm throwing out all these names. Anybody under 30 years old have no idea.
No idea
who these guys are. But so at a young age, I was exposed to a lot of basketball and a lot of high level basketball.
So who are some of your rivals back then, like locally and I mean nationally? You mentioned some of them, but who are some of the guys around your way that you used to go head to head with?
Oh man, I mean, I remember my freshman year, Kelly Thames, who went to Mizzou. He was a senior. He was the guy that ran. He ran St. Louis. He was like Scottie Pippen. Yeah. For us, 6'7", a guy that could do everything. He was like that. And like I said, Chris Carrawell, to me, in my opinion, he's the best player from St. Louis. Just the kinds of things that he could do at such a young age. And then, he never fell off all those years. He was just dominant freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. Jahidi White, obviously, I have to throw his name out there. Demetrius Alexander went to Hazelwood Central. He's another guy. He went to UAB, I think, for college.
I played against Demetrius in Latvia, man.
See?
He was tough, man. He was tough.
Yeah. Demetrius was tough.
Yeah.
Demetrius is big time talent. Anthony Love went to, I think he went to UMKC. Yeah. He was at one of our rival schools. He was a great player. Billy Kobe was there. Larry Hughes. I mean, I'm just talking about the guys that were my age or older. For, the younger guys, Larry Hughes was a year behind me. Justin Tatum, which a lot of people know his son, Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Playing for the Celtics. Justin Tatum, the dad, he was a baller.
Ooh, okay.
See, I mean, it was so many guys. I could just go down the line and we could talk all day about, all of the talent that came out. But, St. Louis isn't really known nationally as a hotbed of talent, but, there was a lot of guys that came out of there just because of the game, just playing. I mean, we just played every day. Outside, on the outside courts, we're in the pickup games, we're going there. Wherever it was a game, we all found it and we all played almost every single day.
So, and I played in a lot of those outside games, man, at the park during the summertime when I'd be down there, man. It was competition, man. People go hard in the loop, man. So, So Justin Tatum, was he similar to Jason in game, or were they different? Or
well, first of all, nobody comes close to. I have not seen a player that was that offensively talented, that tall. Maybe KD.
Yeah.
Maybe Kevin Durant is, similar, but Jason Tatum is just on a totally different level with his skill set and has been for quite some time. I mean, I remember watching him when he was 15, 16 years old. Like, he's for sure going there. He don't even have to go to college. He can just go, just take off a year, because, back now, I guess it's the one, just take off a year, train, then go to the pros. I mean, he was that good. And even when he was at Duke, a lot of people were asking me, who you think should be the number one pick? And I remember in his draft, it was Markelle Fultz, I think, was the first pick. I can't remember who the second pick was, and I think he was the third pick. Yep. And I was telling everybody back then, if he's not the number one pick, then it's a few GMs out there need to probably not have their job, in my opinion. That was just my opinion, and we see what he's doing now. So, I mean, he's and his dad was very, very similar. Not as tall, but he had game, let me tell you.
Yeah, man, that's great, man. So, I mean, you finished your high school career, you balled out. Obviously, you were selected to the 1996 McDonald's All-American game, which in my opinion is one of the most legendary games. You played with Mike Bibby, right? Bibb was on your squad in that
Yep.
game.
Yeah.
Mateen Cleaves was on your team as well from Michigan State. But
Yep.
on the opposite side, there was a few guys that a lot of people probably know: Kobe Bryant, Jermaine O'Neal,
Yeah.
Rip Hamilton,
Yep.
Tim Thomas,
Yep.
Vasil Eftimov, the guy that's coaching right now at St. Peter's that a lot of people don't know that they're balling out right now in the tournament, Shaheen Holloway, right?
Yep.
And Captain Jack, our guy, Captain Jack, Stephen Jack as well. So, I mean, talk about that experience, man, and what that was like. And, looking back at it now and being like, dang, man, just talk to me a little bit about what that was like in '96.
To me, that experience was like an out of body experience for me, because growing up, I was the number 2 or number 3 best player on the team. And when I was real young, I wasn't that good at all. I was just on the team because I was tall, right? But, I was always playing, alongside of Jahidi White and then Chris Carrawell or whatever. And just being selected to that team, it was kind of like, well, are you sure? Is it another Loren Woods that's somewhere else in the nation? Because they want me to play in the game, right? But it was something that my high school coach, he had instilled this kind of edge in me since I was 14, 15 years old. He's like, look, if you don't think, you might not think that you're good now, but you just keep working, and trust me, people are going to notice, and people are going to start, putting you up there with some of the best players in the nation. And I'm rolling my eyes like, yeah, okay,
Right.
like, all right, whatever, and then to me, that was kind of like a stamp of approval.
Yeah.
But this is before you even get to the game. It's like, okay, yeah, I was selected McDonald's All-American. Now I have watched every McDonald's All-American game since maybe '88.
Right.
88, 89, 90, 90, I'm in front of the TV, I'm watching all of them. And you kind of like, okay, this is an honor. It's a big deal. And then you land, and we played our game in Pittsburgh. Then you land and you get to the hotel, and like you said, Kobe Bryant's in there, Tim Thomas in there, Winifred Walton. A lot of guys don't know him. In my opinion, he was probably at that time maybe the best player.
Yeah.
In my opinion, J.O., Shaheen, Rip Hamilton, Mike Bibby, and these are guys who were parade All-Americans since we were in high school. Like Kobe and Tim Thomas, I think, were parade All-Americans like from sophomore year or something like that. Something crazy. That's like the best 40 in the nation, just not in your class. It's like the best 40. So it was kind of like, okay, I think I'm here now. Like I think I must be ready to go, and people must think that I'm kind of okay if I'm here.
So what do you remember about the game, man? What do you remember about it? Even the practices? I'm sure on the runs and everything, y'all going up and down. That's where you just see these guys, and you're in there, and you're like, damn, I'm here. You know what I mean? Yeah,
practices were crazy because I had never been in any kind of, at that time, surrounded by that much talent, and you could just throw the ball out there, and whoever had the ball could score it.
Yeah.
and we're talking, and you one of the funny things that I like to talk about, see, when you talk about the best players have always had pretty high level skill sets. Now you see in the NBA, every single player can dribble the ball, they can shoot threes, they can run, they can dunk, everything. Back then it wasn't like that for a guy 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" to get a rebound, dribble it up the court, and then dunk on somebody or pull a three. And that's how it was in those practices. It's like, like Tim Thomas was 6'9".
Tim Thomas.
He'd block your shot, pin it on the backboard, then take it off the backboard, then dribble it up 2 or 3 crossovers, a spin move, and then like dunk, posterize somebody.
Yeah.
And then you weren't seeing that kind of talent at that time all over the place. So for me it was like, whoa, like he's a power forward, and Jermaine O'Neal was lightning fast and had a 40-inch vertical and stuff like that. You weren't seeing that. And now everybody sees it. It's like, okay, so what? A guy's 6'11", he's got a 40-inch vertical. That's everybody in the NBA. But back then it wasn't like that.
That's everybody in high school now.
Yeah, exactly. For real. But no, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. Great experience.
Yeah, man. Well, I always wanted to be, have a chance to play in that game. And, we had 3 guys my year. It was me, Kenny Thomas, and another guy named Taman Domzalski that went to Duke.
Yep.
And he was the one that got the McDonald's. They weren't going to take 3 dudes from New Mexico at all. So we got left out. But
it's political, bro. It's been political since high school, man.
You already know. You already know. But glad you had that opportunity, man. And that's one of the most legendary games. So that's real dope, man. So you talked a little bit about this, like kind of growing up, and let's like move into like your time at Wake Forest when you were at Wake Forest and talking about playing next to somebody who was, you know, a big time, obviously, you know, one of the best to ever do it now, you know, Tim Duncan at that time. Like, what was your time at Wake like before when you spent your time there, and what was your time with Tim Duncan like? And talk to me a little bit about that time of your life.
You know, when I was there, I hated it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you.
You told me that when you came to Arizona.
That's why you and I were teammates later on.
Yeah,
because it sucked. But you know, it's one thing that I can say. Let me take that back. There's a few things that were great for me at that time. One, it was adversity. I hadn't had that kind of adversity in my life up until that point. And you know, it was kind of a make and break time for me, because we see it all the time on a lot. Now it's a little bit different because guys they'll play and then they'll transfer, and they're good enough, but it's like they just want to transfer and be somewhere better, play for a better coach, whatever. My situation, I never thought that I would have to. Back then, for me, if you transferred, that means you weren't good enough to be where you were. And it was hard for me at that time to be like, oh, you know, like I have to transfer, I have to be in a situation that's so difficult. There's nothing I can do to make it better. And obviously, I mean, you know, we look back on it now, and I'm sure you're the same way. You know, you go back to when you were 19, some of the decisions you made, like I could have just done this different, everything would have been okay, right? And that's the same thing for me. I mean, if I would have just approached some situations a little bit different at Wake Forest, I'm sure I'd have been fine. I would have graduated from there, you know, like gone on. I still would have played in the NBA probably, you know, whatever. But at that time, it was some things I just couldn't handle. And but one of the good things about being there, you know, one of my best friends, I met him at Wake Forest. You know, he's like a brother to me now. And you know, like you never know if you're gonna have those kind of friendships or relationships. You just never know. And I have that, and the reason I have that is because I was there.
Right.
And the thing with basketball, you know, playing alongside of Tim Duncan helped me when I came to Arizona, because at that time, you know, remember when you and JT left, you know, when I transferred to Arizona, that was my sophomore year, you and JT's senior year.
Yeah.
You and JT leave, now all the, you know, the seniors are gone.
Yes.
So now it's like, you know, we had coming in Gilbert Arenas, Jason Gardner, you know, I know we'll talk about the Arizona stuff that, you know, later on. Mike Wright, Richard Jefferson and then me was the starting five. Yeah. So it's 2 sophomores, 2 freshmen, and then me. And I'm like, man, you know, okay, let me go back to what Tim used to do in practice, in games, you know, how he was, you know, how vocal he was in certain situations, how caring he was, you know, it was like all of those things. And I got all of that. And that helped me kind of transition into a team that was, you know, obviously way more high profile, but be able to be a leader in that situation, which if I didn't have that 2 years of experience, or at least that first year, my freshman year of experience with him, I wouldn't have known half of what I knew at that time.
Yeah, that's a great perspective, man. And you know, you helped me so much too. I want to talk about this a little bit about that year when you came in. You were sitting out, you know what I mean? And JT and I were seniors. It was my year, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be an easy year of practice, man. I'm gonna dominate these guys. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be out there killing. And I think my first 5 shots you blocked or something. I was like, oh my goodness, this is gonna be a rough year. But you helped me so much by playing against you every day in practice. There was nobody that I matched up with the entire year that, you know, could play the way that you did and alter shots and just be the physical dominant force that you were in the paint, man. And like, you were so skilled, man, for a big man. You know what I mean? And at that time, you're right. Like, your touch, and you know, you could shoot from the outside, you could block shots, you could run, you could do everything that you needed to do as a big man. I just always wanted to thank you for like pushing me that year and really helped me like getting ready for the NBA too, because like you were an NBA player, you know what I mean, at that point too. And you got a lot better over the next years, but at that point you were still an NBA level defender and player. So it was good to match up with you every day in practice, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And we're definitely not going to graze over that time period, because that for me also was a situation kind of very similar to the McDonald's All-American game.
Yeah.
Being in Arizona. everybody, you could have been a McDonald's All-American. JT could have been a McDonald's All-American. And you remember that the first, when I transferred that summer and we were playing pickup games in the summer, Miles and Mike were still there.
Yep.
Mike D, and that whole squad that we had, Richard and Mike, me, so going into those kind of games, it was, Jesus, everybody on this team is like either a former high school All-American or is about to turn pro, like Mike Bibby and Miles, about to go pro, and Mike D. It was like, we got pro players, we got high school All-Americans, and okay, I gotta bring it. Every single day. You had to bring it. And that, again, you say, you want to thank me. I want to thank you because you and JT welcomed me immediately. I mean, immediately. I remember on my visit, y'all were like, look, I don't even know why you even going anywhere else. You don't go to USC. Don't even worry about going to USC, bro. Just come here, man. Come on, man. This is the spot. This is the spot, right? So when two guys welcome you in like that, and then as soon as I transferred, every weekend, every day, I remember y'all would hit me up, man, you good? How's everything? You good? This is how you work this situation. This is how this needs to be done. This is how that needs to be done. So you guys pretty much showed me the path and what it took. Remember, you guys were NCAA champions. Something that everybody in college wants to get to. And you and JT were basically saying, like, this is how you get it done. This is Luke Olson. This is Jim Rosborough. This is Coach Rod. This is everybody who is in the U of A system. This is how you interact with all these guys, and they're going to help you, and you're going to help us. Like this is the path. So I want to thank you for that.
Oh man, of course you fit in perfectly, man. You were like our brother, immediately, man. And you were the right type of person, the right type of player. And we learned all that, from our OGs too. Same thing as you talked about from Ben Davis and Reggie Geary and Joseph Blair and all those guys, Corey Williams and all the guys that came before us. We were just passing that information that they passed to us on down the line, man. It just kept on going. Arizona really is a family, man. It's a family atmosphere, and I'm happy that you are a huge part of it, man. You just did.
Please tell me you had JB on this podcast.
Of course, I had JB.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we talked everything, man. We talked his veganism. We talked his college career. Like JB was underrated, man. JB was underrated. JB was an animal, bro.
No. JB was a beast.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about how intelligent he is now. Like, did you get smarter over the last 20 years? Like, what happened? What have you been like? It was like he was a monk or something for 10 years and then came back, and he's so spiritually enlightened now. And so it's like, bro, I just want to just have to call JB and have him just talk to me for a minute. And that's my motivation for the day. And I don't even got to say nothing. JB, what is it? Yeah, I'm ready for the day. Click. That's it.
I told him every time you talk to him, you get off the phone feeling better about yourself and about your life. And he finished the podcast speaking in Italian, of course. He's in Italian. So, but so let's talk about your run, man. I mean, your first year obviously went well, but then 2001. Talk about that season. I was overseas in Spain during that time, but I was still following you guys, and talk about that season as a whole, and then your whole run. Obviously to the final game and all that.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I don't even want to skip over the 99-2000 season. I think we did so much better than I think anybody thought that we would. I'm assuming that most people in Arizona, because of the kinds of teams that they had seen over the years, probably didn't think that we were going to do much. And not to say that people just underestimated us. I just think that they thought that year wasn't going to be. And then if everybody came back the following year, we'd be really, really good. That's
what they thought about us, though, man. They thought that the year that we won the championship wasn't going to be the year for us, and the following year was going to be it. So kind of similar paths.
Right.
Yep.
And we did so much we did so much better than I think a lot of people gave us or expected us to do, which is always good. It's always a pleasant surprise, right? But I mean, you got guys like, Jason Gardner, Gilbert Arenas, Richard Jefferson, Michael Wright, me, Luke Walton, Eugene Edgerson, Justin Wessel. We got guys that were like, it was Ricky Anderson.
Ricky Anderson, yep.
Ricky Anderson's in there, balling out. We had so many guys that were so seasoned because of the competition that they had been facing for so many years. I came in the next year having not played a year, but I was telling everybody, they're like, man, you're playing good. I'm like, man, it's like I didn't take a year off because I had to play against damn AJ every day in practice. JT and, like that's who I had to play against in practice. That's like 2 All-Americans, every single day. So it's not really, I wasn't able to play on TV, and at Stanford, but I'm playing against the competition.
Right.
It wasn't like I wasn't doing anything, right? So, I think that having that again, like I said, thank you, having that, and then having that mix, we had like a perfect mix of just guys, personalities were great. We all had, we were all we were babies, we were kids. I mean, Gilbert and Jason were freshmen, Mike and Richard were sophomores, and I've been immature since I was 10. I still haven't grown up, so, we just had, it was kind of like the perfect storm of personalities. And we did well. And if I don't think if I would have gotten injured, I got injured at the end of the 99-2000 season, wasn't able to play in the tournament. We lost in the second round to Wisconsin. I remember that we were in Salt Lake City. And I just felt so bad. Like if I could have been there, I could have done something to help us win, because by the time that point of the season came, we thought we could win a national championship. We were like, we're as good as anybody.
Right.
And that year, Cincinnati, I think, had Kenyon Martin. I mean, Florida was loaded. I think Mike Miller was on Florida back then. Udonis Haslam was on that team. Mateen Cleaves and Morris Peterson were Michigan State. So and they were loaded. So we felt we were just as good as any of those teams, and we could have won it. But things happened. Got injured. Fortunately for me, after having the back surgery on the back injury, being out 8 months, which was that was tough, but being able to fight back and come back and have a run like we did in 2001, and be in the talk that we could win it. We're one of the teams that could win it, and so we were like, okay, if that's what it is, then let's do it, and like I said, the perfect storm of just personalities and talent. And you know how the tournament is, 1 or 2 plays can determine the outcome of a game. And fortunately for us in 2001, those 1 or 2 plays always went our way. And, until we got to the final game, and, things happen.
Talk about that final game, man. Talk about your recollection, your thoughts. What you still feel about it, man?
Oh, I'm still hot. Like I said, I hate it. Like I said, my brother, he coaches at Duke, Chris Carrawell. We grew up together. That's my guy, from now till we die. But so now I cheer for Duke because of him.
Okay.
All right, and so I want them to go as far as they go this year. I talk to him, all the time. I want them to do well. But for 17 years, I never watched a Duke game, I don't think. I watched. I don't think, if they were playing, I don't care. I don't care how good they are. I hope they lose. I cheered against them, everything. And it's so childish. Like I said, I haven't grown up.
Don't ever grow up, man.
I haven't grown up. But they, that game was crazy. I look back on that game, and there was 9 pros on that court at the same time. I mean, 9 guys that got drafted or played in the NBA. Yeah. I don't know how many teams even now can say that. I don't know how many games we've seen. I mean, I saw Duke in Kansas play. I don't know if 9 of those guys in their starting 5s can go pro. Yeah. I know a few can. Yeah. I don't know about the others. And it was no doubt that 9 of us were going to play professional basketball, that were on that floor. So, I mean, just imagine, there is no letdown. There is no, you know how coaches always tell you when you're younger, you can't take a play off. Yep. And what do? Every other play, we did something, we took the next play off. But not that game. You could not take a play off, man. I mean, there was some bona fide ballers in that game.
Yeah, man, those rosters are just, you look back at that like, damn, even your roster, man, the talent that was on your Arizona team, man, was crazy. So I'm gonna ask you this: would you take your 2001 team over our '97 team? Head to head.
You know what? I was asked this question a couple of times, and the why do I give our team the nod? I'm gonna tell you why I give our
So you answered that. You answered that, dude. You answered that.
I'm gonna tell you why. You know, I think for us, we were a little bit bigger and faster
Yeah.
than your team. I mean, your team was deep. Don't get it twisted. I mean, y'all had 10
Yeah.
that, y'all were running 10 player, every game. I don't care who you play, you were 10. But man, when I tell you that the kind of speed that was on our wings, and Mike was a runner, all I did was run.
Yeah.
I just run. That was it. I was gone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And block shot. That's why I give us the nod. But I mean, there's nothing to be said. You can always say the '97 team was better because they won a national championship. That's what it is. I mean, playing against your '98 team.
Oh yeah.
Would have been like that would have been way more challenging, I think, because y'all came in knowing like, yeah, we are the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell the people all the time, like we were 20 times better the next year, man. Obviously we didn't get it done. I mean, we ran into a roadblock, terrible game with Utah that still pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? Same as you, still bothers me. But our team that year was just incredible, man. Like we were like a machine, bro. You know what I mean? We made very few mistakes. Guys were just playing at the top level. We all knew each other's games. It was crazy, man. It was like some of the best basketball, I've ever played team ball in my life, man. It was just fun. You've been on teams like that too, where everybody's so good, man. You don't want to ever be the one to make the mistake or miss the rotation or none of that. You guys kind of police yourselves out there, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yep. So, man, congrats, great career at AZ. After that, you were drafted into the NBA, 46th pick, Minnesota Timberwolves. Talk about your time in the league and how that went. And I had a quick stint in the NBA, but you really got to play some significant games in the league. And so, talk about what that was like in your experience in the NBA.
Yeah, it was a dream come true.
Yeah.
Dream come true. Ever since, like I say, I always refer to 15. That was such a pivotal year for me because that was around the time where, my high school coach and, I just started to kind of come into my own. And, it was from that moment, this is your goal.
Yeah.
Going to college isn't your goal. Your goal is to go to the pros. So just having accomplished that goal was surreal. And it was incredible. And it was, I didn't get drafted as high as I would have liked to.
Me too.
But yeah, you know what I mean? It's dumb GMs, bro.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, it was like, because I remember that night, I remember getting drafted and 46, Minnesota Timberwolves, they picked me, right? I didn't even work out for Minnesota. So I didn't think
I got drafted by Cleveland, never talked to him one time on the phone. That was it.
Yeah, and I never even talked to Minnesota at all. I was like, well, okay, this is super weird. But 5 minutes after I got drafted, the owner called me. Like they were all kind of, like the owner, Kevin McHale was there. He was the GM, Flip Saunders, head coach, and then the owner, Glenn Taylor. And they all called me on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like we are so lucky, blah, blah, like we can't believe, well, because that year they didn't have a first round pick.
Yeah. Right.
So it was like, man, we got lucky. We got a first round or a second round. So, immediately I was kind of like, all right, like this isn't that bad. And it was a great experience, getting to play against Kevin Garnett again in practice, being able to play with him again on the floor. Joe Smith was on my team, murder at Maryland and phenomenal pro career. Wally Zerbiak, was on my team, Terrell Brandon, Chauncey Billups, Felipe Lopez. And when you talk about NBA rosters, it doesn't matter who you say, everybody on the NBA roster. Even a dude that's like 15, nobody's ever even seen him play. He's one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. So, it was an amazing experience. And it was rough in the beginning. Let me tell you, because I was still coming off this college thing, like, oh, I'm the best in college, or I'm one of the best in college, or I'm flexing. I went to Arizona, and nobody gives a shit. I apologize. Can you beep that up? Hey Ryan, beep that out later. Hopefully we're not live. But yeah, man, I mean, like, nobody cares. You got to show up, and you got to show up in practice. You got to show up in the game, and it's play by play.
Yeah.
So very quickly, I had to, grow up. I had to go from being 10 years old to at least being 14.
So battling against KG every day. I mean, what was that like, man? What was they like as a teammate? I mean, I'm sure that helped you improve, pretty quickly, because you had to bring it every single second you were around.
Every second. It was unbelievable, because a lot of people that don't know KG thinks that he's just like, he's kind of a douche, right? Yeah. Just the way that he portrays himself on the court. First of all, he's one of the most caring, loving guys. One of the best teammates I've ever had on any level. Yeah. 100%. He always looks out for his guys. He just expects you to bring it as hard as he brings it every single day. That's just what he expects. So it's like that same kind of intensity that people see on TV, that was in practice, and not in practice when we got to the 5-on-5 games. I mean, that's 1-on-1 drills, right. That's rebounding drills, that, 3-on-3. I mean, every single minute, like you said, every second, he's bringing 100% intensity.
Yeah, that's the kind of teammate you want, though. He's somebody that's going to push you and also treat you well, though. You know what I mean? Treat you well, like a big brother. So you've had some great mentors, during your time. So I mean, your NBA career was great, and then obviously you went and played all over the place. And I had a long overseas career. I tell everybody that it was just one of the best times of my life. One of the best things that could have happened to me as a person was going over the water. And so, I mean, you played, and you can fill this in, but I know you played Turkey, Lithuania, Spain, Beirut, right? And a lot of places over in the Middle East, which I'm very interested to hear, in that area, and want to hear about your experiences there. But talk about what that was like when you first got overseas, and then how your career progressed as you got a little bit more comfortable. Because I know mine changed over the time from the first day I landed there to when I left, 9 years later. So
for sure. I'm glad you said that, starting out the conversation saying that you changed as a person when you first went overseas. And I tell people all the time, I didn't grow up, or I didn't feel like I was cultured at all until I first went overseas.
Yeah.
And my first experience is I was in Lithuania, Žalgiris, BC Žalgiris, EuroLeague team. And I remember flying over Kaunas, Lithuania, before we landed, and I'm just looking, like, where the hell am I at? What is going on, right? And then I land, and the team picks me up, and they're doing all the things in the airport, the pictures, and the media and everything. And then you start driving, and they start taking you to. I stayed in a hotel actually at that time. They were taking me to the hotel, but we're driving through the city, and I mean, it looked like a white ghetto. Imagine what a ghetto looked like, but our ghettos are all Black people. It was all white people. It was like a ghetto, right? And don't get it twisted. I joke about that because that's what I saw immediately. But Lithuania is a beautiful country. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of hardworking, proud people there. I loved playing there. But it was so like, what is going on? Where am I at? I need to get back home quick. I need to get back home immediately. And I remember, I was playing like that. I had that same kind of attitude, like, I'm an NBA player. I don't need to be here. I shouldn't be here. Blah, 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 right? The narrative that I'm sure we all tell ourselves when we first go, like, let me just hurry up and kill these dudes and go back overseas. Yeah. I was getting my butt kicked in practice. I was getting I think we played a game. I didn't do so well.
Right.
I remember, I don't know if you remember Tanaka Beard.
Of course. I played against Tanaka for years, man. Yes, sir. Big Tanaka. Yeah.
Big Tanaka. So he said he was on my team. He sat me down in the locker room. It was him and DeJuan Collins. I remember this like it was yesterday. And Tanaka said, "Look, I know that you feel like you shouldn't be here. I know you feel like you're an NBA player, but if you don't play hard, you're gonna get cut. I got a contract. That don't mean nothing. That's overseas. The overseas contracts don't mean nothing. Here
No,
is different.
sure.
You got these dudes now. They signed like Buddy from Philadelphia signed a $150 million, $200 million contract, and he's like, I don't want to play no more.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna play something like that. I'm like, wait, what? You got 4 years left on your deal. Now overseas, you can have a 4-year contract. They can cut you after 2 months.
Absolutely.
They don't care.
Put you on that plane.
Yeah, you be on that plane real fast. And he said they're gonna kick you up out of here, and you're gonna be home, and then you definitely not getting back to the NBA, because then if you couldn't handle it over here, then you definitely not an NBA player. And I remember he told me that, and it hit me so hard. Like, okay, yeah, you're right. And it changed my perspective almost instantly.
Right.
And I'm glad he said it. It seemed like it was coming from a harsh place. Right. But it was actually coming from a loving place. Yeah, Tanaka, he's a great guy, but then when you first see him, he's so intimidating.
Yeah, exactly.
This big, intimidating looking dude, but it came from a place of love. And I'm telling you, ever since that moment, it was saying, I approached it different. Okay, I'm going to kill. So, for me, Lithuania was great. Then I went to Turkey after that. Turkey was a little bit different, but again, I played on a great team. I played on a team with Drew Nicholas, Andre Hudson, who played at Michigan State, Scooney Penn. everybody knows Scooney Penn. Scooney. Kenny Gregory that played at Kansas. But that was my team in Turkey. That's like an all-American American team, and that was my team in Turkey. So we did well out there. Spain, went there. Madrid and Barcelona, great. The city I was in, but but the fan base was great. Yeah. It was phenomenal. I signed there, and I think a week later they were selling my jersey. I didn't even play the game yet. I was like, how y'all got my jersey before I got my jersey? They selling it, at the concession stand. So it was a great experience. And then in the Middle East, man. Beirut is like it's like home to me. It's like a second, third home to me. I love Beirut. Playing for Al Riyadi, we won tons of championships there. It was a great experience. The Middle East is a little different.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Yeah, how was that experience? Yeah.
If no one knows about playing there, you could easily walk into an arena, and there would be 4, 5, 6, 7 guys with AK-47s standing by the door. That's their security.
Right.
We've seen NBA security. No wonder people can just run over the court, and then people can run up in the stand. You can't do that in Beirut because they got the AKs right there. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little bit different, but I loved it. Like I said, Beirut is like it's like one of my favorite places. And after that, I was in Iran. Iran, very interesting place, super safe. I know what we see on TV is war and nuclear everything, and the oppression and blah blah blah. But really a beautiful country, very safe, very friendly people. The food was outstanding there. Loved that. And then Bahrain was it's a little island off of the coast of Saudi Arabia. It's very similar to the States. They were British owned for a long time, so everybody there speaks English. All the restaurants are there. There's a U.S. naval base there. So it's one street in Bahrain. You won't even think that you're overseas. It's like McDonald's, KFC, Jack in the Box, Pizza Hut, Domino's, it's like that. So very, very, very interesting experiences.
Well, that's crazy, man. And, it's just, it changes your whole worldview. When you get to interact, and you got to interact with, a lot of more different cultures than I did, but it just changes you as a person. I think it just kind of humbles you. You see how other people live. You're immersed in their culture, because as Americans, we're always like, oh, America's the greatest thing in the world, and we got everything over here. But like when you have the time to spend with people, overseas, it just absolutely is just a golden opportunity, man. So, I'm glad that you got that opportunity as well, man. It really means a lot. So
it was great.
So let's talk this year's team, man. You and I were, chopping it up a little bit the other night against during the game. They pulled out the victory against TCU. Talk to me about, I know you've seen them play, this year. What do you think they need to do to keep this thing rolling, and give me your overall perspective on the team this year?
First of all, I mean, I remember playing, and I'm sure you do too. And, Tucson is huge. You talk about the best college basketball fans in the world, and not just in the arena. The playing in the McKale Center was a little bit different because it wasn't all students, so it wasn't as rowdy. But the city is with you. You go anywhere in the city and everybody knows what, they watch the game, they shut stuff down to watch U of A basketball. So, and I remember when we would play games and I would walk around, go get something to eat or, go to the gas station, whatever. People come like, oh my God, you guys almost gave me a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't y'all just beat them by 20? Why is every game got to be so close, right? And I was like, is it that? Like, why are people tripping so much? It's just a game. Who cares? Yeah. Bro, I tell you, that TCU game, I was in here screaming, like, what are y'all doing? They weak. How y'all let them, bro, Koloko, you get that rebound, block his shot. It was this, I swear, I was yelling. It was crazy. Like I never played before. When you yelling at somebody and I do it with football. Yeah. I never played in the NFL or nothing. I mean, but how you ain't catch that pass with two dudes tackling you? You weak, stuff like that. And that's how it was. I was so mad up until that last shot. I knew when we went to overtime, I said, we're going to get it. Yeah. We're gonna wear them out. We're going to get it. But I understand now. So people of Tucson, I apologize for looking at you funny when you asked me, why didn't we just go out there and win by 20? I understand. But no, I think this year's team is great. One of the best teams that I've seen in recent years, for sure, at the U of A. I think the coach is great. What I love is they got a lot of guys that are on the staff that are U of A guys. Yeah. That's great. Coach Lloyd's done a fantastic job resurrecting the program, and Miller did a great job too. But it was a couple of down years, and I think Coach Lloyd came in there and took basically a team that we had last year, and that they upped their level. They upped the game. So they leveled up for sure. And I think that this team is, when you look at a team that has everything. Yeah. I mean, this team has everything. They got guys that can handle the ball, that can get to the basket, and make plays. They got guys that can shoot the three. They have defensive players. They got the 2 7-footers are great defensive players. I'd love to see them. This is coming from a center. I'd love to see. I know it's coming. Throw the ball to Koloko, man. Just throw the ball to Koloko. He's on the block. He's 7'1". Throw the ball to him. I believe that he could have had 40 against TCU. To be honest, they couldn't mess with him. And it's and he's not a selfish player at all. I know he wasn't out there yelling at him. He's a very mild-mannered guy. And I know the U of A program is just our culture. We love each other. We're a family. And even though Koloko had 18 points in the first half, I know he wasn't in the locker room like, y'all give me the ball every single. It was like, I'm getting mine. Now I'm going to open it up for everybody else. Right, and then, no. Forget that. Koloko, go get yours. Get the ball. No, but they're great, man. I really love Matherin, and it's so funny. Like, he wears number 0. He reminds me so much of Gilbert Arenas. Yes. Yep. He reminds me a lot of Gilbert Arenas. And I think he's going to be a great player. I think he's going to finish it out. I think we're going to win it this year. And I think it's going to be last year that we see him. Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. He made himself, he moved up in the draft a few spots the other night just from that performance, man. He made every big play we needed him to make, man, in different variety of ways, too. Yep. You know what I mean? I love Ben. Yeah, it's awesome. So that's good, man. I hope we get to keep this thing rolling. Maybe we'd have to check back in with you, at the end of the tournament when we cut down those nets, man. But talk to me about what you're doing now, man, and what life's like for Loren Woods in LA and Phoenix, and tell me about your day-to-day business right now. Man, so much going on. I actually need to cut some of this stuff down, man. It's like every day it's like I'm going 5 different directions, man. But in Phoenix, I coach a basketball team. I actually coach a girls varsity basketball team in Phoenix. It's a high school. It's right next to where I live. Love it because it's convenient. And people ask me all the time, why are you coaching? Because it's 2 blocks from my house, man. I'm not going to drive 45 minutes. I already won state and I already played at college. I'm not trying to live through them. I'm going to be here and you know, I'm going to make an impact. And that's really what I do. It's pretty much just like giving back. You know, I love doing it. I love being in the gym with the kids, you know. So, you know, that's what I do for the most part. In Phoenix, I had a basketball agency. It's a you would call it a global basketball agency. It basically helps guys get more exposure overseas.
Yep.
You know, guys can just sign up for free, you know, put their highlights on there, and then, you know, like teams can jump on there and see them. And what that is when I played, I always thought that it was a lot of guys didn't get the exposure that they needed just to have a chance.
Right.
I mean, you know, you and I were different. We played at a super high profile university. You know, we're both over 6'9", 6'10". All those guys are always going to get the exposure they need. But you know, if it's a really good player that's 6'3", they don't always get that opportunity if they don't go to a high profile university. So, you know, just kind of basically made a agency, a digital agency, so guys can just do that. So, you know, that I got that going. And then, you know, I'm in LA right now, in Hollywood, baby. You know, trying to get on the big screen. You know,
yes,
so,
sir.
Yeah. so I'm doing that. I've done a couple of projects already, but you know, just doing it, just living life, man. I did basketball as much as I possibly could, and now it's time to do other things.
Yeah, well, you're a versatile guy, man. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, man.
You're gonna be a star in anything you do, my man.
My guy.
So give out the information though on the virtual agency. If guys are watching this and want to get involved in it, where can they find that information?
Oh yeah, awesome, man. It's called IMGLO Basketball Agency, IMGLLO Basketball Agency. You know, like we're on Instagram, we're at IMGLO_US. The website is imglo.com. And you know, it's like I said, it's free. Guys can go on there, and if you haven't played in 5 years, now if you haven't played in 5 years, it probably ain't gonna matter anyway what you do. I don't care. You know, you can get the best agent out there. You're probably not gonna get a job, but you know, it's really for guys that need that extra exposure. Yeah. You know, and we help guys out a lot.
Well, good, man. I hope guys can take advantage of that and push their careers to another level. Before you get out of here, last thing, and I kind of skipped over earlier, but I want to give you a chance to talk about your relationship with Coach Olson and what Coach O meant to you before I let you get out of here. And so talk about your relationship with Coach and what that meant to you.
Man, it was one of the best experiences, relationships that I've ever had with a person who, you know, anybody who knows Coach O, he's not a guy that tries to be your friend.
Yeah. Right.
He's not. He's not trying to buddy with you. He's not like, you know, like what guys would consider a player's coach in the sense that, yeah, he's always asking what's going on and how the. Not like that. Right. He expects you to come in, work, whatever, and then he's going to do everything else, you know, off the court to make sure that you succeed. Right. But when I tell you that I could just feel the love. You know, I could feel that, you know, when guys were way down, he'd be right there. He wasn't trying to like put his foot on your neck. You know, he's lifting guys up. You know, when guys were getting too high, you know, with the big head, he's popping that. Yeah, he's bringing you back down because, you know, and it's all life. It's all things that you have to know going into life. You know, he was kind of like a father, kind of like a father figure, like a hard-nosed father figure. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And you know, I had a great story about him, and then I'll let you guys go. I remember when I came on my recruiting visit, and you remember, like, you were my host out there, and he was driving me back to the airport. So he drives me back to, you know, it was Tucson International, and he's just talking to me like, hey, how was the trip? You know, how'd you like it? What do you think? Whatever. So, yeah, it's nice. You know, it's me. I'm trying to like not give away too much. You know, I don't want to let them know that like I'm really messing with it.
Right.
You know, but because I'm gonna be honest with you, when I was really messing with it was February, and we was walking on the quad, and it was like girls in bikinis and stuff on the quad. I was like, oh, my shirt coming here. That was like on Friday, bro. Joe took me back to the airport on Sunday. I still didn't let him know nothing. So he said, look, we really feel like if you come here, you'll help us win a national championship. We really feel like if you come here, we'll win the national championship. but if you don't come here, we'll still probably win a national championship anyway. I was like, you say no more, coach. You know, but just that he knows what he built. He's
Right.
like, okay, yeah, like you could definitely help us. Like you're a big piece, you can help us. But if you don't come here, it's gonna be another big piece that we're gonna bring in.
Yeah.
Because we just got that. This is what this is. It was basically like, do you want to be a part of this?
Yeah.
Or not? You know. So I mean, ever since then, I was like, yeah, I mess with that dude. I mess with that dude, man.
Honest and straightforward. He's always.
That's it, man.
Always.
That's it.
Well, man. Hey, Dub, I appreciate this, man. This was a lot of fun. I hope to have you on again. I'm glad that you're doing so well in life and continuing to do you and be Dub, because you're one of the best people I've ever met, man. So, keep doing what you're doing. Let's keep our cats rolling, and let's hop back on the pod soon, my brother.
My guy.
All right, man. Bear down.